Hi everyone, welcome back to my F1 diary. Austria is my favorite track on the calendar. I think I said it last video as well. I love it for a few reasons. Number one, I am really good at driving it on the F1 game, which, I mean, it's probably the easiest one, but that's why I like it. I'm good at it. I suck at video games, so, it gives me a good feeling when I do well. So that's reason number one. Reason number two, I've actually been there in person. Oh my god. Not on a race weekend, unfortunately, but in the off season last year, I was there with my family. I did a hot lap with this guy right here. It was incredible. I was in the pit lane. I was like in the paddock. I saw some cool cars, some very fast cars, and it was really, really fun. I also sat in a grandstand for like turn one, which is actually a really good one because you can see turn 10, the start and finish line, turn one obviously, and then the entire run to turn 3 and turn 3. So if you're wondering which ticket to buy for the Austrian Grand Prix for next year, maybe that's a pretty good grandstand to be at. Not that I know its name or, I haven't been on other grandstands, but I would say it's a pretty good one. So that's reason number two. And before I get to reason number three, a few bonus points for it. Obviously, where Lando got his first ever podium in F1 in 2020. And now, of course, where he won in 2025. So those are two bonus points for why this is my favorite track. But also, reason number three, the actual reason, it's just a good track for overtaking. It has a lot of opportunities to overtake. So like turns 1, 3, and 4 are great overtaking opportunities because they're hard braking zones after long straights with DRS zones in them. So those are the main three. But then if you're brave or if you have enough grip, you can also go for a move in turns 5 and 6 and 9 and 10 if you're really brave in 9 and 10. So that is one. I mean, turn number 2 doesn't really exist. It's just a kink on the straight between turns 1 and 3, but you can technically overtake there if you have DRS and if the exit is good from turn 1. So that's also an overtaking opportunity. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 9 and 10. So that's 8 opportunities of overtaking in like out of 10. So that is pretty good in my opinion. And we've seen it today. We've seen how great the battles can be here because of the DRS is like there are 3 zones and they're right one after another. It's really hard to break DRS. So it's very easy to follow, or not very easy, but relatively easy to follow someone and have battles that lasts a few laps. And like a few sounds not enough when I say it actually, because you can have like a 20 lap battle like we had in the beginning of this one with Oscar and Lando. So it's an awesome track in all aspects. It's also in a very beautiful area of Austria. So like the scenery around is very nice to look at as well. And actually, I was kind of debating of going to this year's Austrian Grand Prix, but I didn't obviously. But I mean, I really regret it right now, obviously. But okay, it's fine. I watched it from the comfort of my own house, and it was great watching from there too. So that's fine. I'm not salty about it at all. Anyways, let's start talking about Lando, who had the perfect weekend. He was topping every session that he was part of. He obviously wasn't part of FP1 because Alex Dunn was in for him as a rookie. And he actually did a very good job. He finished that session P4, like a 10th behind Oscar in P3. So very good session for him, very good work. And from then on, FP2, FP3 quali, and the race, of course, Lando was topping the timesheets, including like in Q1, Q2, and Q3, or maybe, no, yeah, every session, like everything. So it is a bit like I would have loved if it was actually every single session that they had that Lando topped it. It's a little cute little statistic there. So I would have loved if he could have achieved it, but it's obviously not a very big deal. I'm just a sucker for those kind of statistics. So whatever, I can live without it. So he takes pole by the largest margin of the season, 0.5 or half a second from Charles in P2. Then we had Oscar in P3, Lewis P4, George P5, Liam in P6, Max P7, Gabriel in P8, which is his first time in Q3, Kimi P9, and Pierre in P10. Max and Oscar had their final flying laps affected by a yellow flag that was shown for Gasly, who spun in the last corner. So they couldn't do their last laps. Like Max couldn't finish his and Oscar couldn't start his. So their results are their bunker laps that I did like in the first runs in Q3. But honestly, don't know if it would change much. I mean, not in terms of Lando having pole. I don't think any of them could have taken that from him. But Oscar probably could have been P2 and Max probably at least in the top 5. And then for the race, it was a good start for, I think, everyone. From the top 3, everyone started really good. Lando defended from Charles and kept his lead, but him defending from Charles left door open for Oscar to get Charles. So Oscar got up to P2. And then we had the most stressful, but yeah, most beautiful and entertaining battle for like 20 laps, as I said before, between Lando and Oscar for that lead. Oscar was in his DRS for, I think, the entire time. I don't think Lando broke it for like a second there, but it wasn't enough to actually break it once they got to the DRS activation zone. So he was in his mirrors, in his DRS, gaining like 0.2 every straight with a DRS and trying a few times, and even succeeded in one point where he overtook Lando into turn 3, but then Lando got the DRS and overtook him back into turn 4. And then we had another very cheeky attempt from Oscar into turn 4 a few laps later, I think, where he locked up, almost went to the back of Lando. I mean, my heart nearly stopped, but thankfully they did not collide. But that attempt gave Oscar a flat spot and kind of determined the end of their battle, because a few laps later, Lando pitted and then Oscar stayed out, tried to like get some pace in free air. And, like, he was asked on the radio if he wants to basically pit now and get a second and a half behind Lando with similar tire delta, or wait a few laps and be 4 seconds behind Lando with fresher tires. And he said he wants the fresher tires option. So he waited a bit longer to pit. And after that, like, they didn't have a battle on track actually, but he was like closing in at times. It was still stressful, and it was beautiful to watch though, as I said. So yeah, I am very pleased with that battle. Obviously the results of it with Lando on top, but also just having that battle was incredible. As much as it was stressful, clean, fair racing between the two. It was beautiful to see. And I don't know why people always like point out that, wow, McLaren are letting them race. Obviously, guys, they're letting them race. They are in a championship battle. Having team orders would be so unfair to the both of them. And we are in no danger of anyone overtaking us in either championship. Maybe in the drivers it's a bit closer, but I mean, come on. It's pretty much between those two. So obviously you cannot do team orders. I don't know why it's such a talking point with the commentators, with like podcasts and stuff like that. People are so surprised. Oh, McLaren are letting them race. Obviously they're letting them race, and that's like the right thing to do as well. Like, unlike a lot of strategies that are questionable from McLaren sometimes, letting the boys race is definitely the right and fair decision. I don't think there's ever been a teammates fight for the championship that had team orders at any point. Like, if it was Oscar against Max in the Drivers' Championship, sure, then prioritize Oscar. Again, depends on where Lando is. Like, if Lando is also in that fight, then probably less. But if it's like a last year situation where it's Max versus Lando, although it wasn't really, like, we were very hopeful there. But in that situation where Oscar was very far away from that championship fight in terms of points, then you should prioritize the driver who is ahead. But right now, as things are going, absolutely not. Like, think this is kind of like a Hungary situation, but like a bigger picture Hungary situation. Like, sure, McLaren are the ones who put everyone in that uncomfortable situation, but at the end of the day, they needed team orders for Oscar to win that race, which was the right decision, by the way. I'm not saying that wasn't, but those were team orders, and no one was happy afterwards. Not Oscar, not Lando, obviously, and not the fans. No one wants to win like that, not a race, definitely not a championship. So having team orders doesn't make sense and is super, super unfair for both drivers, no matter who wins. Like, that would be so underwhelming. Think, oh, how did you win your first championship? Oh, team orders. Are you kidding me? That is so lame. So yeah, of course McLaren are gonna let them race. I seriously don't understand the discussion about it even. So yeah, that was their battle. And as I said, they didn't have another battle on track, but There were times where Oscar was closing the gap between him and Lando, which was very stressful. It was due to a lot of back markers. Oh god, the back markers this race were crazy. I'll touch on that in a second. But also, Lando apparently had front wing damage. I have no idea where from, but he had it, and that kind of hindered on his pace in that last stint. So yeah, Oscar was closing in, but now back to the back markers. Obviously, they can be kind of a curse and a blessing sometimes, depending on the situation and where you catch them on track, because you can get DRS from back markers. If your gap is under 1 second to the car in front, no matter which car it is, you get DRS. So that can be helpful. But also, if you catch them where there isn't DRS and it's harder to overtake, it is very time consuming, and that was pretty much what happened to Lando for the entire race. He always caught back markers, or not always, but a lot of the times he was catching back markers after turn 4. Like, he was closing in, and after turn 4, that's where they were shown the blue flags and had to let them through turns 5 and 6, which is more sketchy, loses you more time. And because this track is so short as well, the back markers, like, you lap someone very early on in the race. So that was something they needed to deal with for, I think, like 60% of the race. More than half of the race they were dealing with back markers, or even more than that, actually. Obviously, they also give you dirty air, so it can cause a lot of problems if you don't clear them up quick enough, and again, catch them in sections that are harder to overtake and don't give you DRS. So the traffic did, I think, help Oscar a little bit with catching Lando up, but also at times it did not help Oscar as well. There was a time where he was trying to clear Franco, and I think Yuki was ahead of him. But because this track is so good for racing, the back markers are racing themselves. So they're busy on their fights, like Franco and Yuki in that instance. And in that time with Oscar trying to get through, I think it was after turn 1 or 3, and Franco was, I think, going, like, trying to get into Yuki's slipstream after, like, they had a little battle, and Oscar was right there trying to come through, and Franco ended up, like, pushing Oscar into the grass, which was, oh my god. Again, my heart was racing throughout pretty much the whole race. Honestly, it was a very stressful race, but it was a great race at that. So yeah, that was a problem for Oscar. He also had a brilliant radio. I don't know if it was after the race or during it. Something along the lines of, after all these years, Alpine still find ways to fuck me over. And that could also be referring to also Gasly in qualifying. But yeah, Alpine really, really fucked Oscar over this weekend, I have to say. So iconic radio. And then later on in the race, I feel like an even, not worse, but like maybe worse, because Oscar and Lando were that much closer at that point. They had to clear up Alonso and Gabriel Bortoleto, who were fighting for P7. And it was like the last 2 laps. So they were really fighting because, like, it's now or never. But also they had blue flags for Lando and Oscar. So it was tricky to clear them up. After Lando cleared them, Alonso kind of seemed like he was going to overtake Lando into turn 4. Like, it was a bit messy. And then Oscar was like stuck behind their fight as well. So back markers were a thing this weekend, let's just say that. I think they also commented on it in the cooldown room, and yeah, that was that. So Lando won and Oscar came in P2. And then we had both Ferraris, Charles in P3 and Lewis in P4. Those Ferraris were kind of having their own race today. They were, again, in no man's land pretty much the entire race. Obviously, they had to clear back markers, but no one actually to race against, which honestly was pretty impressive that the McLarens could pull such a gap from them, even with all that fighting in the beginning. So just goes to show the pace of the McLarens, or maybe the lack of pace of the Ferraris and everyone else. But more the pace of the McLarens, I guess. This is a better weekend for Ferrari as a whole. They definitely did improve. They had upgrades, I think, this weekend, which obviously worked. Also, McLaren did have upgrades. Let me come back to McLaren just 1 second. They did have upgrades. I don't know if it's just Lando or for both cars, but they have a new suspension, front suspension, that is supposed to give more feeling of the front of the car, which is exactly what Lando was struggling with this year's car. He said it felt numb and like he couldn't feel it, the front of the car specifically, and he couldn't predict like what he was going to do. So this upgrade should have helped with that, and it seems like it did. And I know I said it in Monaco as well, but I think and I hope this is a turning point for Lando. I think this was the first time this year where he said he felt comfortable with the car, which is very encouraging. So again, I know I said it before, but hopefully now this is it. This is a turning point. And of course, Silverstone is next, which would be incredible for a Lando win to happen there. But back to Ferrari. So they had upgrades this weekend, which seemed to be working. Obviously 3 and 4. I think that's the best result they got this year. Like maybe they ended up higher, but with both cars in one race, I think this is the best. This is the most points they got, I think, in a race weekend, apart from maybe China where Lewis won the sprint. Just a race. I'm talking just races, not sprints. So this is a bit encouraging for the team. But also, again, we've seen Lewis and his engineer fight on the radio, to put it lightly. Lewis was practically begging not to box, and Ricky, who is his engineer, just kind of ignored it and said, okay, we box now, box. Like not even acknowledging what Lewis was saying. I mean, he kind of did. He said fastest race, optimize, whatever, box. When Lewis was saying that he's happy to stay out and like try something, he felt comfortable with the tires, etc. But yeah, a bit uncomfortable to hear, honestly. They're really not getting along. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if we see a change for Ricky, like they changed Lewis's engineer, like they did with Charles last year. So I won't be surprised if that happens somewhere this year, maybe like the start of next year. But I don't even know if it's like a person thing or just a team thing. So yeah, I don't really know what to think or say about that. It was, though, the timing of it all was pretty funny because the radios are always delayed. They were playing that radio on footage of Lewis boxing. So they were basically fighting, please don't box me, box, as like Lewis is coming into the box. So the timing of it was a bit funny, but yeah, a bit frustrating. Obviously for Lewis, who, I mean, I don't even know what he could have done if he stayed out, but still not having the team to like take your feedback and listen to you and stuff like that. I don't know. Has to be frustrating. So I think that's it with Ferrari. They, again, were just in no man's land. They didn't even work close to each other. Like Lewis had a bit of a fight with George early on, but George really fell off. We know the Mercedes are not good in hot conditions, and Austria is very hot. So he was just hanging out there, also kind of in his own race. Kimi obviously DNF'd after a collision with Max on lap 1, so Max also DNF'd from that. So those two were missing from the top 10. So the finishing order: Lando, Oscar, Charles, Lewis, and George, which we've covered so far. And then we have Liam Lawson and Fernando Alonso, both on a 1-stop, I believe. So that worked out great for them. Liam started in 6th, so like he finished where he started. But Alonso started P11, so he went up a few positions up to P7. Then we have Gabby in P8, which is where he started, but very impressive as well. He also got driver of the day, which, looking back, like, sure, he deserved it. First points in F1 as well. Also, almost forgot to mention that, but yeah, very exciting. But Nico, who finished P9, started P20, so maybe a bit more impressive. Never mind, it's just driver of the day. Not really a big deal. But that's double points for Sauber. And as I said, first points for Gabby and third points in a row for Nico, who is the GOAT, by the way. So yeah, that was very fun to watch, honestly. And after the race, Fernando, who is Gabriel's manager, went up to him, hugged him, like celebrated him. And on the radio for Gabby after the race, like he said, fuck, sorry I couldn't pass him, regarding Fernando, who he was in battles with for those last few laps. And then his engineer said, doesn't matter, he'll pay for dinner. So that whole dynamic is very cute. Like, on track, they're racing hard. They're probably having fun racing because, like, I mean, that's the whole point, right? So they're having fun racing, actually racing for multiple laps with each other. He gets his first points. Fernando goes to congratulate him. Very sweet, very fun. And then in P10, we have Esteban Ocon, who started P17, so also a big climb up for him. Then we have Ollie Berman in 11th, Isaac 12th, Pierre 13th, Lance Stroll in 14th, Franco Colapinto in 15th, and Yuki in 16th and last. Franco had a 5-second penalty for that, pushing Oscar off the track. Yuki had a 10-second penalty for causing a collision with, I believe, Franco, or was it Pierre? One of the Alpines. They touched into turn 4. Basically, Yuki touched them into turn 4. So they both have penalties. And then from the DNFs and did not starts. Kimi, I forgot to mention, now has a 3-grid penalty for Silverstone for causing that collision with Max. And the 2 Williams. Oh, my dear Williams. Don't think I forgot about you. Carlos did not start the race. When they did the formation lap, he was stuck like on the starting grid. So we also had an aborted start. But then he started going and then did a lap and went to the pits where his rear brakes caught on fire. So that was over for him. If I had a penny for every time Carlos Sainz's car was on fire in Austria, I would have 2 pennies, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. So that is very unfortunate. I mean, he wasn't starting from a great position either way, but I mean, not even a fighting chance, you know? And then Alex, I don't even know why he DNF'd. I haven't looked into that, but that Williams is scaring me a little bit with reliability issues. He was actually going very well. He was in the points, and then he just DNF'd. I think it was an overheating issue, but I'm not sure, so don't quote me on that. But yeah, a double DNF, or a DNF and did not start for the Williams team. Horrible weekend. I wonder if this is where we start to see their decline, or maybe not a decline, more like they're staying in place and all of the other teams just getting better. So yeah, and I think that's it. No? Oh, this seems like a very short video today. Yeah, I don't know. It was a great race. I really, really enjoyed it. And I'm also very excited for Silverstone. A bit wary for multiple reasons, which we'll talk about next week. Or not. Why not now? Actually, let's talk about them now. I am wary about Silverstone because last year at Silverstone, we fucked that strategy up. And I'm scared that is gonna be happening again, because Lando could have easily won that race. So they fucked Lando's win and they fucked Oscar's whole race. So that is one thing I'm scared of. Obviously, this year, no driver was able to win his home Grand Prix. So, like, obviously that's not an actual thing. Like, you know what I mean? It's like not real. It doesn't actually mean anything. But it could, because that's just how it's been going this year. So who's to say that curse doesn't continue? Anyways, that as well. And actually, those are the 2 reasons. And just, you know, things might just not go to plan. And yeah, I'm also having major FOMO from Silverstone, from the Lando stand. I also looked into those tickets and thought about buying them and going to Silverstone this year, but alas, I would be home. So yeah, I am very jealous of everyone who's going to be in the Lando stand. But hopefully it's an amazing experience for everyone involved, including Lando. I hope he can bring a great result, a win for everyone there. And yeah, I think that is pretty much it then. I feel like I'm missing something huge. Oh, you know what? I did want to bring up something else. George Russell. There has been all those talks about he doesn't have a contract for, is it next year or, I don't know. I think it's for next year. I think his contract ends this year. So there's all this talk about why aren't Mercedes renewing it and stuff like that. Maybe they're waiting for Max to be available and give them an answer. And then Toto also said that he's open to putting Max with George. Very weird statements, which I don't think any of that is going to happen. I think they're just waiting for Silverstone to announce George's extend of his contract because, you know, it's his home Grand Prix. So I think they're just waiting, and they're right now bullshitting the media to like actually give an excuse. Because like there's literally no way any of that is going to happen. Like Max is not leaving Red Bull, not at least for this year between 2025 and 2026. I've said it a million times this year. There is no point in leaving your team before 2026 because you don't know what's going to happen next year with everything starting from like all over again. So there's literally 0 point in doing that. Also, you are not replacing Kimi Antonelli right now. You've put so much development into him and you've built him up so much to like the F1 world. There's no way you're ditching him right now for Max Verstappen. Also, there's no way you're replacing George Russell. Again, also for the reasons of 2026 being a clean slate, but also George is having the best season of his career so far. He is very, very strong. He could be easily a championship contender next year. He kind of is this year as well, kind of. The Mercedes are just not that great, but you know, George is definitely championship material if you give him the right car. So I think all of that is bullshit. To just buy time until Silverstone where they wanted to announce it for the reasons of 2026 being a clean slate, so no one's changing anything. And also, like, your drivers are good. You don't need Max Verstappen. I mean, obviously you want Max Verstappen, and Toto has been flirting with that idea for a very long time. He obviously fumbled him in the beginning of his career and is regretting that ever since, probably. But also, again, it's just not gonna happen. Not this year, at least. Maybe in a few years, where everyone sees where everyone is and someone really is not performing as much as you want them to, maybe then. But right now, it's just not gonna happen. I'm sorry. So now I think this is it. I still have a feeling I'm forgetting something big, but you know, I can't think of it right now. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time in Silverstone, enjoy these memes. Bye.